MultiVersus is a free-to-play platform fighter published by Warner Brothers, with iconic characters such as Bugs Bunny and Batman, to lesser-known ones like the Banana Guard from Adventure Time. So we're gonna look at the origin and first appearance to see where every character in MultiVersus is from. Starting with the oldest, Superman's first appearance was in Action Comics #1. Created by Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, Action Comics would popularize the superhero genre we know today. They set up Superman's lore, explaining he was from a distant planet that we didn't know was Krypton yet, gave him his powers to run fast, jump high, and lift heavy things. Yeah, even the first issue, Superman didn't have laser vision or flight. There were no supervillains for him to fight at this time. But he did manage to do some crazy things like lift a car over his head and even ask a girl out. 1 year later, Detective Comics #27 was released, giving us the first appearance of the Batman, my personal favorite superhero. But in this issue, Batman had no morals. He didn't mind knocking a guy into acid, and even worse, he drove a bright red car. No. 1940 was a big year, with the next 3 characters all releasing within months of each other. Starting with Tom and Jerry in February. Tom and Jerry first appeared in the short Puss Gets the Boot, where they really just nailed down the formula of cat chase mouse, mouse kick the crap out of cat. The character design for Jerry was pretty much all there, though Tom looked a little scraggly and he didn't even go by Tom yet. The Joker debuted in Batman #1. Unlike Batman and Superman, the Joker pretty much had all of his iconic characteristics from the start. He had his signature playing cards, he had his Joker Venom, and he even had his iconic purple suit. I'd actually argue that the Joker started iconic, and in recent years they're trying to ruin his character.
What's up, Doc?
The first official appearance of Bugs Bunny was in 1940. In the short A Wild Hare, where he got up to his usual shenanigans with Elmer Fudd. That being said, we have seen some other rabbits popping up in similar scenarios in other episodes of Merry Melodies. Dating back to 1938 in Porky's Hare Hunt, we can see this little rabbit here, and I mean, like, come on. You gotta tell me that's not Bugs Bunny? But I guess they decided to make it official in A Wild Hare. Even the MultiVersus website says that A Wild Hare is the first appearance of Bugs Bunny, so boom, fact checked. Wonder Woman gets introduced at the end of All-Star Comics #8. It shows that she's on this isolated island where there are no men until Steve Trevor crash lands here, and then she enters a tournament to go to America to like save people and stuff. It's pretty much exactly like the 2017 Wonder Woman movie, and the comic is just as boring. We need justice for Wonder Woman. Aquaman first appeared in More Fun Comics #73. In this issue, he was just a normal dude. He wasn't the king of Atlantis, he just learned to breathe underwater. He could still talk to fish, but like, you kind of understand why he was the laughingstock of DC for so long. A far departure from the literal god he is today. Up next, we have Black Adam. Yeah, another DC character. Holy crap, are these comics old. Black Adam debuted in issue #1 of the Marvel family. So, this guy Shazam used to be called Captain Marvel, long before she was called Captain Marvel. And when he was called Captain Marvel, the old wizard was named Shazam before this guy became Shazam. Anyways, that guy's not even in the game. And long before Wizard Shazam made Captain Marvel, he made Black Adam. You need like a freaking diagram for this crap. Black Adam's costume pretty much stayed the same, but he had pointier ears and a pointier face. Quite different from how he looks today. Marvin the Martian launched in the episode Daredevil Hair. Get it? Launched because he's in space. In this episode, Bugs Bunny is forced to the moon for science. And while he's up there, he meets one of his reoccurring antagonists, Marvin the Martian. Assisted by his trusty sidekick K9, they attempt to blow up the Earth. But Bugs Bunny hits him with like one of the rabbit season, duck season scenarios, and they end up giving him the detonator and blowing up the moon instead. The only key difference to Marvin the Martian is his voice. He used to sound like this.
You make me very angry.
And now he sounds a lot more like Kermit the Frog.
Oh, goody!
Taz debuted in the Looney Tunes episode Devil May Hair. And you're not going to believe this, but he tries to eat Bugs Bunny. She's starting to realize how many Bugs Bunny villains are just trying to eat him. He's a mean, vicious, nasty, no good, baggy-eyed, marble-headed ignoramus. I love Taz and all, but man does he cause confusion when you're a kid. I started out my life thinking Tasmanian devils weren't real. Then you learn that they're these creepy little things. And then you realize they're not so creepy, they're actually kind of cute. And you gotta love 50s cartoon logic, because Bugs just calls in a bride and a plane just shows up and he marries off Taz to a female Taz, and I guess he's safe now. Both Shaggy and Velma appeared in the very first episode of Scooby-Doo. What a night for a night. The gang's investigating the disappearance of a missing professor who went missing while delivering the Black Knight armor to the museum. The museum curator tells them of the legend of the Black Knight costume coming to life at a full moon. They establish all the Scooby-Doo tropes right off the bat. Scooby snacks, running montages, Velma losing her glasses. Velma's pretty much the exact same character all around. But Shaggy, in MultiVersus, I don't know if I can really see Shaggy as from this episode. He's practically Goku. He's the ultimate life form, and he is just all memes. The first appearance of Nubia was in Wonder Woman Volume 1, Issue 204. This doesn't really show Nubia much, to be honest. It follows Wonder Woman going after a sniper, and then Wonder Woman gets amnesia and heads to Paradise Island, where she's approached by a woman in armor who challenges her to a fight for the title of Wonder Woman. The fight ends in a draw, and the challenger reveals themselves to be Nubia. Nubia pieces out, but as she's leaving, she declares that one day, they will settle who is the one true Wonder Woman. We see Jason in the first Friday the 13th movie, but he doesn't look like this. He looks like this.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, he's just there to drown in a lake, sending his mom on a murderous rampage, killing all the counselors that neglected her son's safety. Jason doesn't become the villain till Friday the 13th Part 2, when he's got this bag over his head. He doesn't even get his iconic goalie mask until the third movie.
That does not work for me.
Raven debuted in the New Teen Titans, which was a special insert that was bundled in with DC Comics Presents number 26. In the New Teen Titans, Wonder Girl takes Robin to Titan Tower, which apparently he's seen 1,000 times, but he has amnesia or something. We're then introduced to new members of the Teen Titans, including Cyborg, Starfire, and Raven, who Robin describes as the Wicked Witch of the West, which is totally accurate for the way she is in this book. Unlike the goth girl we get in recent Teen Titans, Raven telepathically explains that a scientist opened up a portal to another dimension where all of life existed in a single protoplasmatic cell. So it's a giant blob that they have to fight. So the Titans chase after it and end up forcing it back through the portal to the other dimension. Yeah, I prefer these Teen Titans. We see Gizmo in the 1984 movie Gremlins. Gizmo is a mogwai that was given to Billy by his dad as a Christmas present. But Gizmo comes with 3 rules. Do not expose them to sunlight, because that'll kill them. Do not let them come in contact with water. And never let them eat after midnight. So what happens? Billy's friend immediately spills some water on him and he multiplies into other little gremlins, including our boy Stripe. Yeah, 2 characters, 1 movie. Now Stripe's like the leader of these other gremlins and he's a little more mischievous. Stripe tricks Billy into feeding them after midnight by turning back the clocks, which turns them into these little mutated freaks. But don't worry, Gizmo didn't eat any and he's still adorable. The scary gremlins then cause chaos all around the city. But don't worry, Gizmo's here to save the day as he takes on Stripe for a final showdown in a toy store. Yeah, what a crappy Christmas. Man, this one feels stupid to say, like... LeBron James was born December 30th, 1984. Like, I've been telling you guys about the first episode of a cartoon or the first comic. I wasn't there when he was born. I can't tell you what it was like. I mean, I can tell you from his Wikipedia page that he was born in Akron, Ohio. Or I could tell you briefly about the time he was a Looney Tune. Yeah, LeBron teams up with the Looney Tunes in 2021 for Space Jam: A New Legacy, which is a total disgrace on the cinematic masterpiece that Michael Jordan made.
Get some help.
Yeah, he teams up with the Looney Tunes, he fights the serververse, and it freaking sucks, dude. All it is Warner Brothers just promoting their IP. I've ranted about it before, and I'll rant about it again. I hate this movie, but the OG Space Jam is the GOAT. Just like Michael Jordan is, not LeBron James. Beetlejuice is from the Tim Burton directed movie of the same name. So Beetlejuice is kind of hard to explain, but the gist is 2 people died, they're stuck haunting their house, new owners move in, they're intolerable, they gotta scare them out so they can have their new house back. They consider hiring Beetlejuice, but he's a dick, so they don't go with him. But he's like, screw that, I'm gonna come in here and mess up stuff anyway. I'm Beetlejuice. You know, shenanigans happen. It's a Tim Burton movie, you know it's gonna be wacky. Harley Quinn is probably the biggest Batman character to not originate from a comic book, but instead originate from episode 22 of Batman the Animated Series. In this episode, Commissioner Gordon is getting honored for his service, and Harley Quinn doesn't really do a whole lot. She wheels a cake in that spits gas out that freezes all the cops, and then Batman has to show up, and she has a brief interaction with him. But cartoons used to do this all the time, where they just kind of gaslight you into thinking, was this character here the whole time? Harley Quinn's just sitting there with the Joker like she's always been part of his gang, and this is the first time we're seeing her. In later episodes, she'd get more character growth, And I mean, we all know Harley Quinn today. She's pretty much as big as the Joker at this point, with Suicide Squad and Birds of Prey. The Powerpuff Girls were first introduced by Space Ghost in the segment What a Cartoon, that showed off their first pilot, Meet Fuzzy Lumpkins, a whole 3 years before their show would debut. So in this pilot, the girls are judges for a jam competition, which Fuzzy Lumpkins enters his famous meat-based jam, and they don't give it the winning score. So he gets mad, and he turns all of Townsville into meat, which just sounds like a dream come true. And then the girls come in, and they start kicking his butt, and he turns Bubbles' hair into meat, and she hates this now, because she just takes so much pride in her hair. So then Fuzzy Lumpkins gets his ass kicked, and then she uses the meat gun on him, and they freaking eat him. So I guess the day is saved, thanks to the Powerpuff Girls and their cannibalism. I was originally going to say that Arya Stark is from the first episode of Game of Thrones, which aired in 2011, but then I was reminded that books exist, and she's actually from the 1996 novel Game of Thrones, written by George R.R. Martin. Come on, give me a break. I don't know how to read. And I also hate Game of Thrones, so moving on. Lola Bunny debuted in the cinematic masterpiece Space Jam. Yeah, the good one, not the crappy one with LeBron. In Space Jam, there's these little alien dudes that live at Moron Mountain, an amusement park that's not doing very good in the money department. So they decide that they're gonna kidnap the Looney Tunes because that's gonna boost their sales. But Bugs convinces them that they can't just take them. They have to at least beat them in a game. This is where the Looney Tunes decide that their winning game is basketball, because these guys are short. But they didn't think. They don't know how to play basketball. So they have to recruit a couple characters. They go into the real world and recruit Michael Jordan. And when they get back to the Toon World, they also recruit Lola Bunny, every furry's dream girl. But don't get me wrong, Lola plays a very integral part of being Bugs' love interest. To be fair though, she is like the best at basketball on their team outside of Michael Jordan. Agent Smith is from the first Matrix movie. In the Matrix, there was this big war between humans and machines, and the humans covered up the sky to get rid of the machines' power sources. The machines still ended up winning the war, and then they hooked up the humans to be little batteries for themselves, and if the machines are going to use them as a power source, they have to keep the humans alive. So they created the Matrix into fooling them all so they could just live in these little tubes there. But they all think they're living their happy life. Other than a select few that, realized they could make decisions, saw glitches in the Matrix, and they're trying to take them down. And that's where Agent Smith comes into play. He is here to keep the order, to keep the balance, and to shut down Keanu Reeves, who should probably be the character in MultiVersus. Don't know why they chose Agent Smith, but now you must make a choice. Will you choose the red pill, or will you choose the blue? The Iron Giant is from the 1999 movie of the same name, though he is loosely based off of the book The Iron Man by Ted Hughes. The Iron Giant crashes down from space, and he originally was planned to be a weapon here, but he ends up running into some power poles and loses his memory when he's discovered by this kid Hogarth, who teaches him everything. The dude's just like a little kid. They become best friends until the army decides to come along and mess up things, and then it's just kind of a battle between, good and bad here. The army trying to take him away, and you can't help but love this big metal puppy dog by the end of the movie. Samurai Jack is from, believe it or not, the first episode of Samurai Jack. The episode begins with an emperor telling his son about this war that waged, with a battle against the great demon Aku. The emperor once defeated Aku with a magical sword that was gifted to him by the monks, trapping Aku in this black tree in the wasteland that he created. And I know what you're thinking. Is this foreshadowing? Of course it is. The guy's a literal shadow. So Aku escapes the prison and kidnaps the emperor. This is where the son goes on a journey. I'm talking like over the whole world. He learns techniques from like every culture out there until he finally finds his mom again and is given the sword that his dad once defeated Aku with. That kid grew up to be Samurai Jack. With his new techniques and his new sword, he just bursts into the prison camp in which his dad is held and takes on Aku in a 1-to-1 fight. As he's about to take the final blow, Aku transports him to the future with some sort of weird shout, and then the episode ends. We first see Penn and Jake in the Adventure Time pilot, which aired on Nicktoons in 2007. And yes, you heard that right. In the pilot, Finn's name was Penn, but I'm gonna count this because he's got all the DNA of Finn. I find it crazy how much that they nail down Adventure Time in this first 7 minutes in this pilot. They get the humor down perfect. We've got slogans like mathematical and algebraic. We got the Ice King stealing princesses. This is a big difference, but Lady Rainicorn doesn't speak Korean. She sounds like this, and it cracks me the hell up. The craziest thing is Nickelodeon had their chance to turn Adventure Time into a series, but they declined it 5 times, till finally Cartoon Network picked it up. And speaking of that, Banana Guard debuted 3 years later in episode 7 of the first season of Adventure Time. Once again, Finn rescues Princess Bubblegum from the Ice King. And afterwards, he's invited to this radical party at Princess Bubblegum's place, where we meet Ricardio, the heart guy. And standing behind him in the background is a Banana Guard. Yeah, that's all he does. 5 episodes later, we get Marceline the Vampire Queen in the episode Evicted. While Finn and Jake are sharing scary stories about vampires, an actual vampire shows up, and it's Marceline. And she kicks them out of their house by explaining how this is actually her house, and she carved an M in the tree just to prove it. So it forces Finn and Jake on this house hunt. They go all over the place before finally settling on this cave. And then Marceline shows up and says actually this is hers as well. So they get in a big fight, and because the fight was fun, Marceline just says, you know what, you get your house back. Garnett and Steven were both introduced in the Steven Universe pilot, which was released in 2013 through Rebecca Sugar's father's YouTube channel. It's been removed since. In this pilot, we meet all the gems, and Steven is disappointed that he can't go on their adventures. So he's sent to go get donuts, and finds out he has this weird thing in his pocket. This weird thing would help him against comebacks. That weird thing turned out to be an hourglass that the crystal gems were protecting for years. And now that he's used it, its sole purpose is for Steven's comebacks. But little do we know, a giant skull monster would attack, and those comebacks would help Steven save the day. Rick and Morty first appear in the first episode of Rick and Morty, though they do look awfully similar to the real animated adventures of Doc and Marty, the Back to the Future parody from Justin Roiland, which obviously just became Rick and Morty anyway. While Morty's getting bullied at school, Rick bursts in and freezes his bully, and tells Morty that they have more important business in another dimension. Morty's all like, "Aw, geez, Rick." In this dimension, there's mega trees, and in those mega trees, there's fruits, and in those fruits, there's seeds. We're talking about mega seeds. Morty breaks his legs trying to get the fruit because he didn't turn on his anti-gravity shoes, dingus. So Rick goes to another dimension, finds medicine, fixes up his legs, but Rick spent so much time in that other dimension that he wasted all the energy on his portal gun. And now they gotta go through interdimensional customs. So Rick gets Morty to smuggle them. We're talking about like way up there, like way up in there. But customs have a new machine that detects stuff all the way up your butt. So they make a run for it. And then it gets super chaotic. We got like Morty like shooting aliens. We got Rick just like typing away over here, telling Morty what to do. I don't know. The moral of the story is like, don't trust your grandpa or something. I don't know. This show's too smart for me and the average person. And last but not least, we have Rain Dog, who is from this game, MultiVersus. Yeah, they threw in an original character, and I thought that was weird at first, but I love this little pooch. Alright, that's where every character in MultiVersus is from. And if you want to learn where more video game characters are from, check out this video right here. I'll see you guys next time.